Well, I guess we can get started. It's just about 7, so I don't know who else is coming in. You're not seeing Ken on.
No, no one's connected.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll do introductions since we have a guest speaker here tonight. And I guess you know some of them, but anyway, I want you to feel welcome.
Information you want to hear about, I guess.
Yeah. Why don't just go around.
Reminded that you need one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I guess we can.
And be.
Yeah, all right, so.
You want to give him a chance? She's a hiker. She might want an Indian leg rest.
That's an old one. Don't we have just 5, right? And
Yeah, I count, we got 4 people here. No Ken, no Gary,
yeah,
so we need one more. We got 2 alternates, 1 vote.
no, I mean,
How many chairmen do you need to have a quorum? Just
We need
3.
3 for a
yeah,
quorum,
but
but typically we
five,
vote.
but Rob's not a voting member.
Right,
in this case, so that's just
Okay,
3 of us, so you're all.
all right, we're all voters. I thought we're all voters.
No.
Unless Ken shows up. I guess if Ken shows up, one of you has to.
So
Just
Melvin
the
and Cassie.
technicality here, but anyway, let's do introductions. I guess you already know each other. Yeah,
We've
I'm
met
Doug,
Dan before.
yeah, I'm Doug Bogan, obviously chairing the meeting.
I'm Robert Gibson, Select Board Liaison.
Paul Panish, I'm sorry.
I'm hard of hearing. And I hear your names. I've got them turned up, so if you can speak up just a little bit, appreciate it.
Rob Gibson.
Rob Gibson.
Paul Panish,
Dan Cassidy.
Jack Gale.
Pat Lindsay, I do the minutes.
Is the minute secretary.
Important person.
Yeah.
and we will not hold you to remembering our names in
No.
any case,
But
so.
I am pretty good at it.
And,
I remember Dan from way back. We walked our property one time with John Wallace and her, another person.
so Dick Myers with the Swains Lake Village Water District, he's filling in for David Toddy. We had originally
Yes.
talked with, but I understand you've been at it longer than him, or you?
Yeah, I've been with the water district since 1986. My wife and I moved up here July 4th, I think, here. They started the district just before we got here. And they put the plant in late that fall and turned the water on first part of January 1987. I don't know whether you want any background with all that or.
Well, some of us know it, but I'm sure some don't.
Yeah.
But it was related.
There
to
was
the
a Superfund site on Tibbetts Road. There was a gentleman that worked in Somerville, Ford motor plant. They did a lot of painting and had a lot of solvents. He was told to get rid of them. He brought them up to his property. He was somewhat industrious because he used some of it to heat his home and he used some of it to run the forklift. And he also used some of it to burn out upholstery and that sort of stuff in cars. So the stuff just lights up. He had over 365 barrels on his property. And, people were starting to think that that was a problem and started getting on his case. The town got on his case and he ended up dumping the barrels, all that stuff in the ground, Kylie, Betsy, xylene, God knows what else. The EPA was part and party to that along with the state. And in 1991, I think it was, decided to take Ford to court. There was 12 families decided to sue them. And eventually that created a consent decree And the consent decree was that they would support the water district 75% until such time as the site gets cleaned up.
How many residences or?
Right now, there was about 70 initially, and we have about 96 now. They had to put in a housing development on Cedar Creek, which is on the end of Tibbetts Road, which is near your right? Tamposi, I don't know, what do you call it?
Simulate Tamposi water supply.
Yeah.
South. We've turned it into a word.
Oh, okay, very good. We call our swab.
We're close enough to the government. We can start talking.
So anyway, when they put the homes in there, they drilled wells. They're probably less than 500 feet from the site. They ended up pulling the plume down into the some of the wells. I think there are 8 or 9 wells that actually got contaminated. Ford came in and gave them osmosis filters. And then eventually, I don't know exactly how it came about, but they ended up hooking them up to our water system.
So is Ford still, they're on the hook for this?
It's still on the hook. The site has not been
Right.
cleaned up, and that's once they decide that that's happening, they need 5 more years of maintaining that condition. So the EPA has them on the hook also for arsenic and manganese. Just a little funky, I guess, because that's really a natural condition in the ground.
They may never get out of that one.
Well, they're taking them to court, I think. The Ford is trying to battle that, try to prove that it's a natural occurrence. So we'll see how all that boils out.
Is there any cleanup going on?
I'm sorry.
Is there any cleanup going on?
Not now. No,
There was a big
yeah,
effort.
they did some
Years ago.
bio, they planted some trees and that sort of stuff. And they're expecting some of that to continue to help clean up the site.
Can you tell us where the dump site was on the map?
I
know where Cedar Creek
Tibbetts
is.
Road, you see where the E is on Tibbetts?
Yeah.
It's right about there.
Okay, yeah. So halfway.
See down on the bottom there where the circle is, that's
Yes.
Cedar
Yeah.
Creek, and there's 18 homes that they
Right.
put in there.
Quite a few pork chop lots.
Is it both sides of Hall Road that were affected or just all on the?
They actually had found, you see up around Acorn Point,
Yeah,
between Acorn Point and Hall Road, that corner lot had contamination, and they deemed that there was contamination at the campground.
Wow.
are they hooked to the water district?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they were hooked up in 90s. And along with Chase Gill Peabody, I don't know what she's name, but she lived across the street from the campground. She had some contamination.
So it's Barrington Shores.
Barrington Shores.
What did these landowners have to do to prove that they needed to be connected to the water district?
I don't think it was the landowners that did that. I think it was determined by the state
Oh,
in a given area, and they said
They were within
these
the
houses
zone.
of the plume.
within this area when we looked up.
Future.
They had 2 conditions. They had a primary area and a secondary area. The primaries all got hooked up with no cost, and the secondaries had the option to hook up. Since then, we've had an ordinance put in for that particular area, and nobody can drill another well, so you have to hook up to the water district.
And the water district is a set of wells.
We have 2 wells on, right on the edge of Swings Lake.
Is that you
Yeah,
up
I
there?
remember doing a site walk
Yes.
when
Their
those,
district is up.
when those were big.
We're doing wells.
Yeah, there were the wells,
Where were the wells approximately?
yeah. How many years ago was that?
This is the.
Keep them
Oh,
fast.
Is that 12? Is that the?
You see where his marker was?
Yeah.
You put your cursor back to where that cove,
Oh, way back in there.
maybe I better. Point
Yeah.
it out better. I can talk to it. Yeah,
I can move it.
we have one well that's like right here, and then one that's right here.
Yeah.
We actually drilled 5 other wells, or 5 wells total, and there's like 2 or 3 in this area.
Okay.
One last comment while I'm up here. We own from Michael Point here all the way over to here. This all is Swains Lake Village Water District property.
Okay.
And then this is the Ken Dudzik property here. Ironically, this property here, we had an opportunity to buy it. And in my infinite wisdom, I thought we could get it cheaper than the 10 grand that Tampa was looking for. He offered from 7,500 about 5 o'clock on a Tuesday night. And he said, no, went back to our board and asked for approval to go to the 10 grand that he wanted. And call him up around 10 o'clock the next morning, and he already sold it to Mr. Dudzik.
So it's part of, that's,
It's part of Dudzik.
so how many
That,
actual parcels then, or the numbers?
I think there's 4 there. There's a total of 74 acres that they want to sell, and they're keeping 1.87 acres where the house.
That's on Shady Lane, I guess? Or-
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
yeah.
It's on Shady.
And the sidewalks you're talking about, where you went walking out there to find a place for those wells?
John was out by the wells.
Yeah.
And that,
Years ago.
yeah, and that goes right out to Shady Lane. Also
Yeah.
the corner of our property.
Wow.
There's like 60 acres there. We owned about 77, I think. There's a lot. I think where it says 11. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
That was taken by eminent domain, I think, from the Swains. And again, somewhere in the 90s, Thelma Swain was looking to have this seacoast conservation or conservancy take over that property. Ironically, I was on the property at the same time that he was walking around trying to see what it was like and all about. It's Ashton Allen was the gentleman's name over there.
I know him.
Yeah, and he and I talked, and I said, you know, we'd be interested in having the property. And he set me up with Fred Hall, who was out of Rochester, who's a lawyer. And the 3 of us sat down and made a presentation to Thelma Swain and her 2 daughters. They donated that whole property to us. Very grateful.
So,
Yeah.
did you say how many acres the Dudzik?
That's it, with the 1.87, it's about 76 acres. I think there's 74.4 that they're looking to sell. And 1.87 that they're.
But they're selling, oh, sorry.
Well, I was gonna ask.
Are they selling the conservation easement, or they're actually conveying the land?
They actually conveying the land.
And it would go to the water district, so
Yeah.
it'd basically be added to
At
the.
least to us. Now, I
this
don't know.
whole rectangle.
Southeast Land Trust is
Right.
also
Involved.
party to
Right.
what's going on. They're doing a lot of negotiation actually for us. I don't totally understand how all that
Mhm.
works, but they've actually submitted the request to DES for water protection
Yeah.
grant. That was accepted in August. And I think we have till the 29th of this month to have a purchase and sale agreement in our hand.
And
We've had the property appraised professionally. It came in at 335,000. Extended costs for surveys and all that is about 387. We have gone back with a counter offer, reducing the cost for things like current use and a couple other items at 235. That was done first of this week. We haven't heard back, which is surprising because most of the transactions with the Dudzik family was fast. There was a phone call to Dwayne would make a phone call to them. They get back with the decision pretty quickly, so I'm not sure where they're at. They would like to see it in the conservation, and I think that goes back to Ken. We did meet Ken a couple of times, the water district did. And he was a forester. I don't know if Ken or not, but he worked for the National Forestry out of Durham.
Ken Black,
Ken does it.
that's, oh, no.
Nice gentleman, nice gentleman. And when he bought the property from Pam Posey, we sat down and talked to him about possibly buying it back from him an option. And, he had an interest to move the property to some relatives of his. I don't know whether, I didn't realize that they were his brother and sisters. I thought they were like a niece and nephew or something. And there is another relationship there that hasn't been talked about, I guess it's the best way to put it. So with that all being said, we've got pretty sure that we can get the NHDES grant. We've gone back to Ford, asked for some money. Asked them if we can make this part of our 75%. They came back with a letter this week. Said that they weren't interested in owning any land in New Hampshire. We have no interest in that owning.
That wasn't the offer.
We want the money. So,
You did tell them, right? They don't need to own the land.
that's right. Well, that's gonna happen. I just got off the phone with Dave Toddy. I'm traveling on Saturday and my plate is so full. I don't know what I'm gonna get. I'm also having a septic system put in while I'm gone. Making all those arrangements. It's just been crazy the last week. So anyway, David is going to call Chuck Benter, who was our Ford contact, and present another case to him. See exactly where it goes. They've been really good to us, and I can't complain. I'm kind of not surprised that they don't want to be part of this one, but then they don't necessarily have to be.
How much is the grant, drinking water grant?
It should be 50%. Whatever cost is, that's the gray area right now. So, yeah, we're looking at other possibilities. I think there's another grant for about somewhere around 18 to 20K, again through EDS, but it's for something different than water protection. This is all new to us, so we don't know who's out there, who's got the deep pockets, and quite frankly, that's part of what I'm hearing. See if you guys have any suggestions, where we should be looking or who we should be talking to. Or, talking to the right people. I don't know if you guys have a fund that you're.
We do. It's kind of limited. A lot of it's spoken for at this point, but it's possible, I guess. Enable some funds. I don't know
But
how it works.
You've been talking with Selt, and they know more probably about the programs that are available.
Okay.
Because they constantly use them.
Oh, yeah, sure. We did sit down and had a really, really good conversation with Dwayne Hyde.
That was your name I was gonna give you.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah. They know this, we're all volunteers.
Yeah.
Professionals.
Yeah, he does it for a living.
Because I think today I'm gonna get told I have to kind of check to him for another project.
Yeah.
And then the thing is the dam over in Richardson, we're being held responsible for that. So we resolve that. close to the rest of them, money we do have.
But we can certainly write letters of support. That's my understanding at this point.
Yeah.
Looking for some kind of supporting.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure DES is gonna want some back up to our saying, hey, this is what.
yeah, and actually our last grant was from the same drinking water fund,
Yeah,
you know, for the Goodwill.
another important part of this on that lot 34 is Oyster River headwaters. Well, where that blue box.
It's right under the word Boyle Lane.
Oh, yes. That's behind that cedar, or whatever that subdivision is in there.
That's, in our mind, that's a pretty important piece of property there. And there was some talk about us breaking off portions of it, you know. Say we can't
Why is that in particular an important piece of property?
because of the headwaters for Oyster Rivers up there from a conservation.
I see.
Yeah, we've got 4 watersheds in Barrington, only town in southeast New Hampshire that has 4 different watersheds in it. And we feed water to the Salmon Reservoir and the Rochester Reservoir. And of the 4 rivers, they all feed into other towns. That's like Durham's.
It's such a small
So-
piece.
And that was another thought that maybe. Durham would be
It
interested.
runs right through this 14, which is it's the open space for that subdivision.
I said earlier, we're pretty new with this.
Satwasser is
Yeah.
just below it.
Well, I'll mention too, just
This is the strand.
hey guys, sorry, trying to have one conversation. But, when we did the last grant, it was for a different watershed, the Bellamy River. But, in that case, we got the city of Portsmouth to chip in 10 grand because, you know, it's their headwaters, their water supply. So it's worth a try. I know they're very concerned, obviously, with the Oyster River. You know, generally,
Didn't Durham just get upset with Epping for their waste handling because it was possibly fouling their water?
yeah, that was probably the Lamprey
Lamprey,
River,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it
You know,
means
it's
that,
a big issue.
yeah, it means that Durham's got their eye on their water issues.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think they were maybe it's peripherally involved with there was a culvert, actually, it's going on right now. If you ever drive into Emerald Acres, the mobile home
Oh,
park,
right.
they're digging up the whole front section there because that culvert drains that land. You know, that's a little bit further downstream if you go down the creek
Off of
there.
Route 4.
Yeah, it's right off Route 4. So,
Yeah.
I don't know whether, you know, Durham
There's that
in on that.
See that creek runs across the road there, Tomas Road.
Yeah, so that's all part of the same.
Is that, yeah, that's Oyster River. I could
Yeah.
read it.
And of course, you know, above that is the Tamposi land, so a good portion of Tamposi is also the Oyster River watershed. Yeah, so that all sounds good.
And we don't need a lot of horses in Tamposi because of right of waste.
Right.
So I mean, this town's one of the, I don't think everyone in this town realizes that one of the jobs of everybody in Barrington is to protect all our water, ours and all these communities. around us.
Everybody's town should be doing that.
Yeah,
Does your water district have trails or public access?
We have wood,
Trails or public access?
no, on our property, it's clearly stated in the deed, no public access.
yeah, so
Now,
now really just for water. Protection.
And you do the same with the additions too.
Yeah.
No, let me back up on ours, if, for any reason that the water district is banned, our property goes back to you. It says right in the deed. So-
Yeah, but for the lane you're trying to get,
Okay, now I'll address.
Dudzik land.
The Dudzik land, we don't want it open to the public in general, but the Dudziks want it open to the 8 or 10, 12 people that live along Shady Lane. Because Ken was a really good friend of all his people. He let them hunt on it.
Oh, okay.
4-wheels and all that. And they want that to continue.
You will,
Yeah, I would think that could be written into the deed.
Yeah.
That's
tough.
actually another item on our list here is the Landry property, which the Landry family wants to maintain access, so they wrote that into the
Yeah.
deed.
I'm not sure how you do that. How do we police, 10, 15?
Yeah, it's tough when it's
You
not.
don't,
one
you don't
day.
usually notice it.
First thing is getting it on paper, then get policing, it's another problem.
Yeah.
Because if you let them go out and hunt, well, what happens if they take ATVs out there? Now you got
Well,
a few ones.
they want to take ATVs. Out there.
Yeah, that would happen too, yeah.
And then now you're always concerned about, okay,
Yeah.
you can draw oil
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
gas.
Yeah.
It's not that big a spot. I
Yeah,
want
I
it.
really should.
We haven't bridged that gap. I can see.
No, I really shouldn't.
So I was told that, you're looking for a letter of support, but it wasn't clear, who it's going to and what are we saying? And I think it's a good idea.
I wish I could answer
Yeah.
that for you. I
Yeah.
think it goes with that, presentation to NHDES for the end of the one.
Mhm.
Who's making the presentation?
It's a application for, the grant, and that would be the presentation if you.
Who will be making that?
Dwayne Hyde is, filling that out for us and with our assistants.
So he probably has the points of contact, at least so you can put a name and an address on our letter.
Yeah, so maybe I'll just talk to
Yeah.
him.
So was that the date, was that the date you threw out those, September 23rd, you said was a
I think
deadline?
it's
or
29.
29th, was that for the grant application
I
or?
think so.
Oh, okay.
I think that's like statewide. I was just looking at.
Yeah.
Grants.
Yeah.
If we were gonna go for one. Obviously, too late, but, Yeah.
That's the last.
okay, well, aim for doing that, I guess. See, I think we already approved, at least the three of us, the last meeting kind of gave me the authorization to write a letter. if we,
Okay.
That together, so I guess I'll aim for I'll get a hold of Dwayne and see what
Okay.
we work. So,
I can get back to you.
yeah, if you
Exactly.
got more information.
Yeah, get that from, David. David should know where that's going.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think he was also pursuing one for Stratford. The regional planning. Folks out there.
Mhm. Yeah, and we actually have another one that's also a cell project at Bedford. Next item on the new business, so, yeah.
Can you explain again? So you haven't finalized the price though. You're going back and forth on. the
Well,
actual,
we've already given them a counter offer.
and it's been not
And we
responded
have,
to.
Waiting.
that was done the first of this week.
Yeah.
Let's see, we met Friday night. And David, let Dwayne know on Monday morning. What our counter offer was
Gotcha.
and explain the things that were taken out of it.
Right.
Out of the original.
But Dwayne is ultimately, he's the in-between guy on
Yep.
this too. So,
He's definitely the mediator for it, so.
You mentioned Stratford Regional Planning. Matt Town is on that. He might be able to. I know he's very concerned about these issues. He probably reach out to him for help.
Matt Town,
Yeah.
we were dealing with a Kyle.
Pimentel, yeah, he's on the, he's a.
He works.
Employee of the, but Matt just joined the commission as I don't know if he's a Barrington representative, but he's.
I think so.
on Barrington.
Barrington has two.
So, okay, yeah, so that's, anyway, that might be part of his job, so.
So we also are looking at possible short-term loans. We do have a loan that's probably 3 or 4 years out before we get it paid off for the wells that we drilled in 2012.
Do you have an income stream from the people who use the water? Do you have an income stream from the people who use the water?
Yes,
Oh, you do, okay.
very low.
Yeah.
In fact, we are talking about raising what we call water rates. We were gonna do it at the end of this quarter, but I've been delinquent in getting the information to my counterparts. So we'll probably do it the first of the year.
So how much of that?
We charge $50 a quarter, $200 a year. They're allowed 1,000 cubic feet which is 7,500, roughly 7,500 gallons. That's all.
Metered?
Metered,
Wow.
yeah,
Mhm.
wasn't always metered, but yeah. it's
Yeah.
Metered now.
I remember one town they had where they gave everybody water for free. They came and put meters on and there was a lot of screaming.
Mhm.
Oh,
It runs the gamut. There are people that have irrigation systems and will have a $500 bill or and never complain about it. And they give somebody else that gets,
Yeah, but
if only uses 2 or 3 hundred cubic feet and.
But other than these people, nobody else in town pays for water other than
No.
maintaining their well.
Right. Right. And the campground is a fairly good sized user for us, so.
yeah.
And they're on the agenda also, later on, there's
All these
they
segues.
have an application, or I guess a agenda to it, yeah.
I guess that's my story.
Great, okay.
Thank you.
You got a blank check here or something?
Sorry, I mean, you don't write the checks, so you
Oh, you don't write
It'd
the
be-
check?
In the treasurer, they don't dare give me a check.
Yeah, yeah.
It would be worth the value of the paper that
There
it
you
was
go.
written on.
You have a blank unsigned check.
But
So,
we'll certainly write a letter that's
Yeah,
appropriate to
we
them.
definitely
Yeah.
appreciate that. And even though Wayne is a good source, if you guys got any ideas about other grants that are out there or something, I could fire us an email or something and let us know. We should be contacting or talking to, that'd be appreciated.
I guess the guy that knows most about programs is John Wallace.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
John Wallace knows where all the,
Is our former chair.
I know.
Did it for many years.
She walked the property with us, John.
Yeah.
I don't know him well. Our relationship was always good.
Yeah, but he's been pretty good at coming up with grants, but it's usually the usual suspects, the DES grants.
Yeah.
And there's a coastal watershed route too that also.
What were
gets
the
grants.
criteria for that license plate grant that he got?
Those plates.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for land conservation. I mean. it would-
and
I would
what
think
was
it's
that,
a
what was
possibility.
that? ARM,
Yeah, ARM, yeah, and then ARM, that's related to water flows and,
yeah,
it's not so much, I mean, I guess it might apply, but I think the drinking water grant is probably the biggest pot of
Yeah.
money for one thing.
yeah.
And because of that was another settlement with ExxonMobil, if you're wondering.
Yeah.
That was, they got their money. But there are some others, say,
We, our EPA contact Daryl Luce, who's been manager of the site since day one. His town in Rentham, Mass, got a $200,000 grant for protection of their well from the national parks.
Mhm.
The only concern we have with that is, are they gonna want to open up the property to public? Need to put trails in and that sort of stuff for them. That's not something that we're do. So,
no.
and no, neither other does it, so. But I don't know that, I haven't talked to the national parks people, so I don't know that that's an issue.
I didn't realize that they made grants to, entities outside of their own that were part of them.
Yeah, Moose Plate says it's for conservation, heritage, and preservation programs. Apparently, they help restore a Revolutionary War cannon caisson. That's kind of weird.
Well, it's part of the heritage part.
Yeah, it's the heritage part. I'm just trying to see if I can find
They
something that
cobbled
would.
it together. But certainly Dwayne is well aware of. Salt folks, I'm sure, use that quite a bit. In fact, some of the lands in our town are, Fellowship funded them and it runs it, so.
Anybody have any
Eldership
questions
for
me?
or the state's most.
Any other
important
questions? Yeah. Okay, well, thanks a lot for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate the
Anytime.
overview. You're welcome to stick around, but it sounds like you're a busy man, so I'll let you go.
Yes,
Okay.
you gotta get packed.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks again.
So, I guess we need to do basic stuff, minutes from last 2 weeks ago. Did anybody get a look at them? Any questions? Thing about them? So we'll assume they're approved. And treasurer's report,
As of 9/7, we have interest of $1,447.71. For a balance of $544,589.20.
Got that. I
That's
have
it.
it. Yeah. Thank you.
Land
Can you
change,
make law-
use tax, did you get any?
Nothing came in as of the 7th, that you guys could have discussed something recently and it could be coming our way. It all depends when I write Peter, he might say, hey, you got, 20 grand coming your way, or something like that. He's done that, but, it'll probably show up on the next one because I bother him twice a month.
Did you say something about needing to write a check tonight or something?
Well, I heard that there's been a lot of progress on Landry, which is,
Yeah.
wait till we get to it.
yeah, we'll get to that.
Progress usually means
But not
something.
about the money.
Oh, okay.
So the next item is another land protection effort, and actually this one is with SELT, as I mentioned, it's the Bedford property. I sent you the map, I don't know if you can pull that up. But it's basically upstream, it's actually directly upstream of the Young Road and Goodwill, Richardson Pond, actually. So if you see Young Road is the
It's,
the road that, if you see Goodwill there.
this one here.
And that's the big culvert there where the road dips.
Around where that project's gonna, let's try to.
Yeah, so that chunk of that big rectangle there that was carved out of Goodwill, sort of, is the, what was the Bearden property, now it's Thibodeau, I guess, owns it. So anyway, if you follow the stream upstream, there's actually two beaver ponds. They show a large one there, but there's a second one behind it, which doesn't really show. It's a little shallower, but they're both similar. And then, you go further upstream, cross or go under Wildcat Road, and then that's the Bedford property. It's 80 something acres, 83 acres. And they're looking to conserve it. And so they're working with SELT, and they asked us to provide a letter of support. You can see it's immediately abuts the Wallace
Yeah,
Conservation Area. That's John Wallace. Yeah.
that was Faith Well.
Yeah,
Faith Well.
was it? No. And then it's, obviously not too far from both the town forest and the Stonehouse Forest just south of there, right?
This is the same Bedford as Stonehouse, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it's the same.
They did the south easement of Stonehouse Pond.
Oh,
Bedford family, they own Ayers Lake Campground.
yeah, evidently they own a lot. I didn't know any of the history, but in this, I was actually, I asked the woman who's running this project. It isn't Dwayne, it's another person, Lori Summer, I think is her name. And she wrote a draft of the letter. So, but they say that, yeah, the Bedford property, the Bedford family is, going back generations, they purchased and assembled many large tracts of land for timber management. So, yeah, so there's, I guess, a lot of Bedfords.
Carolyn Bedford passed away.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of land they own. And so in the coming years, it's something to be aware of.
Yeah, and I think it is the Carolyn.
And they had three children. Now manage.
Right. Right. So, so that's the deal. They want to, let's see, Eason would go to SELT. I guess, and anyway, they're not looking for money. They just want a letter of support. And this is for this is actually the Moose Plate grant, LCHIP. And so we keep hearing the same things over, but,
So does South have more money, or they come to us to look for money?
they could, but in this case, they're, at least for this current thing, they're just looking for money from the Moose Plate LCHIP.
Oh, I see. The support letter would be directed towards that.
Right,
source.
right. Yeah, so that's the basics of it. I thought of copying the letter, putting it up on the screen, but if you want to hear all the details or I could read some of it, they're basically just making the case that this is important headwaters of, the Bellamy River. If you follow Meligo Brook, of course, it runs into the Bellamy, which runs into Bellamy Reservoir, which again is Greater Portsmouth water supply. So there's a, good argument just from a drinking water standpoint. It's also pretty high on the,
Co-occurrence map.
yeah, all that stuff, yeah.
I was trying to call it up.
And there's prime wetlands on the kind of northwest corner of it. It's like about 6 acres that have a bud on the prime wetlands. And then.
Which is the prime wetlands this here or is it this here?
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but I think it's along that watershed
Looks like a
there.
big,
So
big
that's-
wet area.
Yeah, I think that shows it as,
Probably.
yes, I'm pretty sure that's it. So it's, it's that eastern corner of it.
What's the size?
83 acres.
Gary and I walked that Wallace easement a couple of years ago
Yeah.
down to the river that you see there. It's pretty spectacular down there, even though
Yeah.
Wallace doesn't have public trails, but he's seemed like a nice guy. I don't know if it would be something that might give us access at some point down the road, but
Who's living there now?
betting, but I forget, there's a second name attached to that easement. I think that's who's, but, or the couple are different names, but.
And she did say they weren't looking to open it up publicly as yet, or at very most it would be for passive recreation, minimal. Obviously, it's not very accessible
No.
at this point. But, they would,
Just to fill you in, the co-occurrence map, it's dark brown around where that split is.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
in the
it's a
river
pretty
or
prime
drainage.
yeah, but there's the co-occurrence is
Yeah.
what we're looking at, which is near this plot. So the darker the color, the more valuable it is. It doesn't land in one of the 5 dotted sections that are really valuable, but that and it is adjacent, or it's nearly adjacent to look at 1, 2, 3, 4 properties. 5, you know,
Right.
You probably can't, it's across the road.
Yeah, so in the communication I had with Lori itself, she wasn't aware of the Young Road development. She's new to the neighborhood, so to speak.
We spoke to Katie about it, but we didn't know if she was gonna make it
Yeah.
back to the home mothership.
But anyway, she said if you want to make reference to that, so I did kind of indirectly. So she had, 3 bullet points in the letter pointing out, why it's an important piece of property. Third one is the property and its fish and wildlife habitat values are of high interest to the Conservation Commission for a number of reasons. And then I added in Maligo Brook watershed is under continuing development pressure, so every portion that can be protected is vital to the health of the whole region's environment and water supply. And then continues the size of the property, extent of surrounding protected lands, and its location provide compelling justification for our support. So,
You've done this before.
well, I didn't write that for her. She did that before.
You could have just said, sure,
Yeah.
I am getting good at this.
Yeah, well, I don't take much credit really, I just fiddle with it. So short of reading the whole letter, if you all agree that this is a worthy project.
Yeah, if that's the gist, that sounds like the gist of it.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll just read the last paragraph. We're a fast growing region of the state, so we hope Moose Plate funds can leverage further financial support. Because obviously that's not going to cover the whole package.
Well, I just read something on the Moose Plate page that the Moose Plate pays for the administrative costs of the LGIP.
Right,
Not much of the Moose Plate money actually goes to the grants. It helps administer it.
yeah, which, it's important. So,
Administration, it doesn't work.
I don't think the plates generate a lot of money.
Yeah.
No, that's why it's only administration money.
mhm. So I don't know if I need a motion to, somebody wants to move that we submit this letter.
I'll move that we submit the letter.
A second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so I'll get that. Actually, I need to get it to her tomorrow. That's their deadline is coming right up, so.
With a signature?
Very time. Well, I don't know. I hope I don't have to give them a real signature, but it's the letter anyway. So that's Bedford, so far.
I'm kind of driving down. I could drive up,
Oh,
up and drop it off if that's what you need.
I don't think so. I mean, I'll let you know if there's I don't think they would care that much, but.
Yeah, I'm going to Durham.
Yeah. So the third item on our new business is the land easement, and of course, we've been talking about that for some years, and it's fairly far along, as you probably know. But I realized that actually back in August, Dwayne had passed along the draft documents and plan, basically, and the easement language, which goes on like 40, 50
Yeah,
pages, so,
I looked a lot.
it's
of
pretty
those.
standard
Yeah,
stuff.
it is.
But anyway, I thought at least it's worth looking at it, and if anybody has any comments or whatever, we can.
There was some legal wording in there as far as Barrington, right?
We're the
Yeah.
secondary executory interest.
Yeah,
The state comes before
Right,
Barrington.
and he's mainly running it by us because we're
Yep.
coughing up some bucks, right?
Mhm.
$100,000, so, that's.
Yeah, I don't think I would begin to sit there unless I found blatant typo. What do we know about writing these up compared to Dwayne Hyde?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing you pointed out that is in there, which, pertains to us, is that they are opening it up for public access. And so they're
Right.
planning to put in a parking area
Yeah,
for
maybe.
those who went, I don't know how many of us went
Yeah,
on them.
but he said it's probably less than what. it's
Right,
documented.
yeah, it's only gonna be like,
Maybe a half dozen.
yeah,
There's not much room there because you're kind of close.
Right. Yeah,
to,
it's pretty tight.
It's
Voice
always
trail public.
interesting to look at the reserved rights and what they put
Yeah.
in there. And there's nothing unreasonable. Now, they have their little carved out private
Mhm.
lot there.
Mhm.
Now, that lot where along the lake
Well,
and
it's a map.
stuff,
Yeah, there's a
is that
map.
something where people can go to?
Yeah, but again, it's their little
I know,
place, so.
but my concern here is who's responsible for policing it? Because what happens when the kids go out there and decide to screw with Landry stuff?
Yeah, I think it's still the Landry's.
Yeah, that's not our concern.
Okay, just making sure.
It's still gonna be their land, so.
True.
But yeah, it's, could be a problem, but I doubt people are gonna hike in a mile just to.
Right, this
It's
is,
around.
this little thing here is their
Right.
reserved lot.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and it's basically at the end of that long woods road
Yeah.
there, the little track that you see.
Right.
Which is what we
yeah,
hike.
it's a little piece of what's a fairly sizable chunk.
Yeah,
Keeps moving.
yeah. And I think they were talking about maybe doing a trail up to, Mount Misery is kind of the
Yeah.
main feature there.
When we went with Wayne, we talked about that, but it
Yeah.
was, just it was in his infancy. But a loop would be nice, it'd be better than an out and back.
Right, yeah. Certainly see continuing that loop.
Maybe we can get something higher than 341 feet at Mount Ripley.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's quite a bit. I don't remember, I think they said it's the second highest peak.
Yeah, I figured
Yeah,
they'd
everything.
even like that, so yeah, it's gotta be higher than Mount Ripley.
Yeah. Actually, the
Maybe
first
that
one
was-
is just on the other side of
River.
Nippo Lake, I believe, yeah. So anyway, that's where it stands. They're hoping to close the deal in November, I think. But he, obviously wanted to get any feedback or all sounds good to everybody. Yeah.
Hell Pond sort of almost looks like New Hampshire.
It does a little bit.
Yeah.
Didn't they come back at one point saying they still didn't quite have enough money and there was a question whether or not we had?
Yeah,
more than the-
And we were inviting them out to help. and-
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so that, my understanding is that's all taken care of, so it's really, and then they had a problem with the signing the whatever we had to sign, I guess as executor, secondary, whatever it is. They ended up having to do it twice, so I had to come back here, sign again, but.
So did you get any idea when he wants the money? Or needs it?
Well, presumably around the time of the closing. I would
Which
think
is?
Before November.
Okay.
Or, it's probably sometime in October, so I assume
Yeah. Not that it would change much, but every time we change select board, I'm afraid that someone comes down and decides.
Right.
You mean we approved that how many years ago? And you have to send the money in?
Is that 140?
100. It's just
And there's only gonna be possibly a change, and I'm hoping that Dan will be successful, so I don't see a change in the select board coming,
No.
but.
But
It's-
that,
it's always
there's
risky.
gaps right before then. So,
What?
yeah, yeah.
What?
Yeah, one, it's already committed, and two, it should happen before
Yeah.
January,
Yeah.
right? This one, there's certain, the new board
Yeah.
takes over, so.
I was concerned about the other people that want on that board, and what
Well,
they might do to us.
One person that, there's only one seat up for election this year, so it's not gonna change a whole lot.
With the guy running against them, it's.
Yeah,
scary.
let's not talk politics. Yeah. Okay, so that's Landry.
So that's gonna be open to the public, huh?
Yeah, that's the plan.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Right down to Nippo.
Yeah. Our access point.
I wonder if people will be able to jump in the water there. I mean,
Well, it's a dock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a beach, it's pretty limited.
Still, with the limited amount of water access, I mean, we've got the new one out at Stonehouse Pond, but by giving it public access, yeah, and then you gotta decide, all right, do you wanna tote your stuff a mile to get to the water?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was,
It's gonna scare some people off.
yeah,
yeah. hopefully.
yeah.
So, so let's get into the planning board cases. Folks got a chance to look at them. First one is.
The hatches.
Yeah.
You probably should put something in there and say that Marsha Hatch is a former vendor for us. Just, so we can just be upfront about the fact that we're making the decision with someone.
Well,
We kind
Well,
of,
it's not.
Dawn Hatch used to be,
Select board.
yeah, well, she was also,
Select
I
board.
think she was the chair of the Conservation
Yeah,
Commission.
Before
years ago.
John, yeah.
yeah, but she's not with us now. I'm just
So
saying.
we're not deciding anything. I mean, I don't see
There's nothing here.
conflict or anything that matters or. And it just seems like there's nothing here, right? I mean, it's just they're changing
Interviews.
the house
Yeah.
to the office, the office to the house.
Right, there is, yeah.
Which is weird because I've been in there and I've been in the one called existing and it's an office space. They put a roof basically on a foundation.
Mhm.
And they put it looks like there's full capability in there with a bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, but they use it mostly for office space. And that's where our website was developed.
Hmm.
The one that's called house seems to be they're using it for a house, so I'm a little confused as to,
Yeah.
is this what they want? Because, I did talk to Dave Mott the other day, but not about this one, but yeah, he is limited in what he can do in his current situation.
But they're not changing anything.
No.
Doesn't
Yeah.
really-
No,
Yeah.
it's not like it's gonna change
Yeah.
structures of any kind
No,
or access.
yeah, it doesn't seem like.
And as far as I know, they're gonna sell it, I think. Something. Because if you look her address, they moved away. They live down Tennessee.
Really?
And that's why she's no longer a vendor.
Oh.
She shut down the business.
What's the Doug Hatch?
Huh?
Doug, is this Doug Hatch's?
Marcia, and I don't know who her husband is.
Okay.
I think that she was a niece of Dawn,
Okay,
And
so that would make her,
Doug and Marcia.
But the applicant is real estate folks, so.
yeah, because I think because they moved a whole bunch of stuff off that property. They had an old box in there that they tried to put up for people. They tried to clear as much crap
Yeah,
off.
so you wonder why would they switch if it's not as attractive residents? Why would-
I don't know, and maybe it's it frees it up and makes it more interesting, I don't know.
Well, anyway,
Doug
none
used
of
to be
that
on the
matters to
conservation.
us.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Like everybody
Yeah.
else.
Okay, so we're good on that one, no comment? All right, the next one is Barrington Shores. which we mentioned already. And this is an ongoing thing. If you look down the list, there are like 20 different things about it, but sounds like it's an improvement. If you read over the description, it seems like they've made some good changes to the plan. Did folks get a look at that or?
Yeah. I mean, I like the fact that they said they got a berm there and they're gonna plant things on it.
Right, so it'll be more aesthetically pleasing, and I guess they're,
keep it away from the road, which if I was going to a campground, the last thing I wanted to look
Do
at
we
is.
have, well, I mean, this has been going on forever. There
Yeah,
is the
I know, you wonder
list of
whether they-
documents is as long as you're on. it.
Right,
Right.
yeah. And yeah, presumably several seasons or at least this year. I mean, I guess this isn't the whole campground, right?
No,
You
it's
have
just
more-
a tiny,
yeah,
so
one
this is
section.
the access road
Right,
here.
and
It's
then it
just the
goes-
field that
continues out.
existed here.
If you look at the top left corner, that
Yeah,
shows you where
that's
all
all
the
right.
other
Yeah,
roads are to
yeah,
campsites.
so this is just an addition to the trailer.
Does anybody have any idea of approximately how many sites are total?
Yeah.
Oh, the whole campground?
Oh,
You know
yeah,
that?
No,
So,
no idea.
you're-
Don't know offhand.
yeah.
It's 24 in the proposal.
yeah, the new chunk, so I'm kind of looking at it, trying to swag and say that there could be a couple hundred in there
Mhm.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
at around 1,500 square feet apiece.
Not my idea of camping, but
Yeah, But it's a lot of people's.
Yeah.
So, motorhome.
I'm
And
sure
have
that
access to the lake, and
Right.
they must have a beach there.
they're not doing this with no expectation that it'll be filled.
Yeah. Yeah, and there seems to be a pretty good plan for catching water runoff from,
Yeah,
and I guess they were saying even from Hall Road, there's some.
there have been some flooding and they basically played with the grades in this field that sounded like.
Yeah.
I understand.
It's just an empty field right now.
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's been pretty well chewed up because they put in, according to the narrative, they already put that septic system in, and in the process of building the septic system, they've removed a lot of material, but
And that's what they
Yeah.
used to regrade this.
regrade it all,
So
so.
now there was big equipment.
Yeah, yeah. And they said they changed the road layout or the width of the roads, so it'll make the
Yeah.
fire department happier, I guess. So
Theoretically.
But so if they're already working on it, what are we discussing?
it's really if we had any issue with the changes. I mean,
see
obviously, we've
wetland
already.
issues
So
and.
they're on the
off
other
of it.
side of the
Right.
entrance.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I tried to get thought, how far am I gonna go back on all these documents?
I
I'm saying,
was
I'm sure like,
like.
I always go to the bottom now.
No, I think it's just that it obviously is a change and they're trying to keep
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
in front of us, which is good, because they
Yeah.
haven't always done that, so.
It goes back to.
Okay, so no comments there, we're good,
Good.
okay. And the third one that's not on your list, but just came in, is this actually,
You see
Is
it?
that the cable?
yeah, that's the Caliph, but I've got this.
Became a solar?
Yeah.
He had a picture.
Yeah, no, I didn't know if you saw it. I think that's it, yeah. Caleb Solar
There's
is
the fourth one.
it's a two tracker.
Well, they kind of threw me a curve here, there's actually four of them. instead of-
I thought it said two in the.
Yeah, they were doing all this.
Well, they crossed out 3 and put a 2 on this thing, 2 48 panels.
Well, yeah, no, I'm talking about the number of cases that we have. before us.
Oh.
There's nothing, but let's do the solar one, it's certainly most interesting. So we started to talk about what we got here, but informally, so officially, they're looking to put in 2 of these large, ground mounted arrays, with 6x8.
Tracking arrays.
Tracking arrays. Yeah, so if you're familiar, if you've seen them like at Staples in Rochester,
They're all over Rochester. right now.
yeah, there's
No, they're
more,
not.
and they actually have photos.
I saw this one going in. This is next to the Fresenius building,
Right.
Yeah,
next to behind the shoe store.
yeah,
But they all got slightly bigger arrays because these are more than 48s. That's 8 by 4.
Yeah.
and 8.
yeah, well, they're just giving a sense of.
Yeah, but even the smaller ones up at Staples are 48, so they're gonna be probably smaller.
I would assume they're not sizing them to be enormously more than their usage at the country store. It can't.
It's not clear, if that's where it's all going. I mean, I presume it says Caleb Solar, do they talk about how it's.
The land that's part of the store that must have bought the parcels for sale, right?
Yeah. I
Behind
think
They're
so,
talking about
yeah,
the town center.
yeah,
So
yeah, it's really right adjacent to the.
So where do you
community
wanna
gardens.
know?
Well,
who's using the
I
power?
mean, they may not say anywhere how they're gonna use the power, but presumably they would build more than they wanna have to run the place.
Why does it need to come before us? I mean,
Because it's a change of use.
It's going to the planning board.
It's a conditional use
Oh,
permit
okay.
or something. Again, we just saw it when we got here, so.
yeah,
Are, but similar to the one at Berry Engineering, I guess, it's kind of. Because it's a conditional use. You get to look at it, but it doesn't seem to affect.
Okay, so she's,
Land use.
oh,
well,
she's
that's the
the
thing, it
actual,
doesn't affect them.
um,
Do you wanna, maybe, show them that.
I was trying to see if I can find anything about that.
Kind of doubt.
But I mean, who else with power before?
Yeah, it's, so who's listed as is filing that? Is it?
It's all solar. Greg Bolton. is the guy who bought.
Yeah, Caleb's isn't.
And Taylor Solar is the project name.
So that's not.
Is
But
this,
Bolton is the guy that bought it from the family.
the owner of that parcel is called 606 FPH LLC.
Yep.
Do you see that?
Yep.
Okay.
But I can't see anything that says exactly who's.
Yeah, but even as a commercial, I mean, I don't know, it's not.
It's not big enough to be a real commercial.
No, I mean, they
They're
can't
not gonna
sell
be selling
access.
a lot of power. They can sell
They can,
access.
Up to 5, I think, is the current
Yeah,
limit as
that's
municipal.
way into
Well,
that.
yeah, it's not.
But I'm assuming they would have sized it to their needs in some way.
Right.
but-
Did they say how many kilowatts? It's. What?
So it's on
Do you know
roughly
what
100
those-
panels if they're, 300
Yeah,
watts.
why would there be a limit?
You can't, well, if you make a lot of power that you need, right now, our government here won't let you sell it back to the grid. Which,
It's
yeah,
a
that's a
regulatory.
But that's
issue.
on residential.
that's on a residential level, but I think they only passed the up to new limit for municipal. So I don't think a business can sell that power either.
They can, but there are limits on
Right.
how big they can.
Like, yeah, how much?
It's a regulatory issue.
Yeah.
The PUC
Yeah,
is just.
but this is nowhere near, I mean,
No. This is.
I mean, they're, it's 1 megawatt.
Let's see, if the 3 of these things can make
Yeah.
48 kilowatts, then it makes sense that 2 of them would do about 32.
But they're probably running the gift shops, if they start putting heat
Yeah.
pumps in and things like
Yeah,
that.
no, it will use
It'll
more.
ramp up,
It
so.
will use more. and I
Yeah, it's
think they're
neat
planning
things,
on
it's,
doing it.
it's,
They have
Dave,
Yeah, well, if you have the map there,
What's that?
if you can, when you show them the aerial photo, just you can kind of pinpoint where it's gonna be.
It's all coolers,
It seems
refrigerators.
like it's sort of where this green thing is.
Yeah, that doesn't show the community garden.
the overhead shot only
Yeah.
points to the Barrington garden, but that looks more like a marker there. There is nothing here that says exactly where those things are.
It's funny. that-
And there isn't a drawn or surveyor's plan.
Yeah, it seems kind of odd. Know where it's gonna, I mean, that's the only thing we would care about, right? I mean. Right, if it's, they're gonna.
This is the only document package we got.
Right.
But presumably it's in that field somewhere, like not shading out the community garden. That would not go well.
That would be one issue.
Sorry, we missed that.
Well, the land was probably donated by Kayla, so.
Yeah, no,
They do have a right.
presume- Yeah,
Yes,
but
they do,
it would be
so-
kind of. Do we really want to know the exact location? Or-
They're gonna be digging, there could be any digging involved, right?
Well, they have to.
Oh,
Well, they gotta put the
Yeah,
concrete
yeah.
foundations.
Yeah.
Oh, this is, okay.
Yeah,
And
there
then
is.
still all the lines will run underneath the ground
Oh,
into the building, where they'll have
Yeah,
Definitely.
controllers either attached to the stanchion or they're in the building. It
yeah,
might be easier to put them out in another enclosure, a weather tight enclosure, given the age and how things are pretty tight inside that building.
Controllers are small, they go right
Yeah.
on.
The post, yeah.
And the inverters will probably.
so any other questions or concerns? Good with it? You know, there doesn't seem to be any wetlands. So, in that neighborhood, so.
It's gonna cut down a little bit on the Christmas soiree parking, maybe, that's about it.
Yeah.
It's one that area, that back lot area gets packed,
Yeah,
but that's,
That's it.
with other places.
but at least in the evening, you park under. You know, Paul was telling the story about somebody who parked under, you know, because it rotates.
Right, yeah.
You don't want to be where it's gonna.
There's one up on Beauty Hill Road and the people who owned it clearly weren't thinking too much about it. They parked their car right near it and rotated right into the car.
Oh, no.
Wow.
And they've never bothered. It killed one panel. You can drive by it sort of bent around.
That is
They've
bad.
never replaced
But
it.
if these are like the ones they show, you're gonna need like you're gonna need a London bus to get hit by a panel. These are pretty high up.
Yeah, no, that might be true. I mean, certainly the ones at Staples, they,
Yeah.
but these, I don't think these are.
So they're all, they're gonna be kind of hidden behind the.
Yeah, I don't
lots.
think they'll be visible.
Yeah, but if you go through their driveway on the right of the building, you'll be able to go out back and see them.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I've driven quite a few times between the post office and Kalis and not gone on a public road. It's just easier.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll definitely be noticeable, so, you know, but that's the planning board, that's not our, I mean, I guess there's aesthetics, but.
But between the tree cover and the buildings, you're gonna have to look hard and there's
Okay.
nowhere to look.
So that's from
From
community
Route
garden is where you.
And from
there.
there, 2125.
Yeah, so there's
Oh,
not a
here's the
huge
community
amount of.
garden.
Huh. And they aren't gonna put it in the parking lot.
Are they're gonna keep the garden or they?
I
Would
think
it
so.
go where the garden
I
is?
would hope they are.
You got the trees and shade over
Yeah,
there, right?
No, they'd have to be to the, to one side of the garden. Something,
It would be nice to, not that we have much say over this,
yeah.
there's not, that's not wetlands, but. It would be nice to know what their plan is, submitting stuff to the team.
So their land ends there, right?
The yellow line.
But that's not the whole field, right? Isn't there
No.
quite a bit more?
Be nice to do it more adjacent to the parking lot if it
Yeah,
doesn't shade the garden.
well, that probably, I mean, that would be the best for sun, right? To get the most.
Right, you think you cite it that way, but
Yeah.
especially with a tracker.
They would want it to be.
Right up in
here
there,
somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe they'll put it over here.
so whoever gets that other property, right, that's the 1-7, is that it? The one just south.
That's just a 7-story building.
Yeah, that's for sale. They're gonna have to look at it, but that's tough.
Town center
didn't
properties.
get it.
LLC.
What do you say?
This is owned by Town Center Properties LLC, whoever
Oh.
that is.
Probably someone who's still banking on that 10-year-old plan to do
Right.
something with downtown.
Well, we're
Well,
still
the town is hoping
Yeah.
to acquire it.
Yeah, but I mean, I look at some of the stuff on that original plan. This is where the library's going. This is where this is going. And like, town hall, no, it's somewhere else now.
None of that.
Everybody's gone off and done their own thing.
I could-
Rob, what's the asking price on that? You know?
I don't know.
On the town, this thing,
Yeah, the one that's for sale. Parcel.
It's gotta be.
it's valued at about $350K.
Anyway, that's to be continued. So there's one other one, like I said, they threw this in, I haven't looked at it yet. It's a change of use site plan.
You got a lot.
1079 Caliph Highway. Map 263, lot 7.
Over here, okay.
It's Newtown Plains Road.
Oh, that's right, where, no, that's the car dealership.
section.
Yeah, that's that car dealership.
It's a restaurant.
I think you're down here further for that. I think this is the used car thing.
No.
You're thinking of the barbecue place? No.
No,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, but that's the next one.
Yeah.
No, you can see the lot right there, and I think,
Yeah.
yeah, now there's this,
Yeah. so
they,
it's that one.
actually, they presented to the planning board. Yeah, they wanted to do some stuff to the house and they want to make it part residential, part business. This must be, they probably developed the plan further, and that's what this submission.
Yeah, so
Because
it's
that was preliminary. what they were-
changing it to mixed use.
Okay.
but is it gonna remain a car dealership or used car?
I think someone just bought it.
Yeah, because I don't, yeah, things change now.
Changed hands, yeah.
But what I mean, my concern is, you know, is it gonna go from a mostly idle used car lot to hog rendering or what? You know?
Right. Well, that isn't what. This is,
I always pick that because that's often the most offensive thing you could have.
yeah, it says 3 units, so. Helps at all, but they don't seem to say anything more about what. Actually gonna do.
The 3 units, I assume, are commercial. So it's gonna become a
I
little,
think it
many
was-
use,
I think
which-
it's gonna be residential. I think they wanted to, yeah, get a rental. So,
Okay, here's the deal. This office has been retained by blah, 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 to prepare a change of use site plan for their property. The applicant wishes to maintain the existing 2-bedroom apartment, which was done by others without benefit. And to add a new separate automotive service garage and office space to the permitted auto sales use. So,
That's a big difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there, so there's some
it's gonna be a
additional
strong
building, and, I guess.
I don't think so.
And so it's a
I think it
commercial
was just
district?
changing the existing. They might modify the existing.
Okay,
building.
Yeah.
The garage, that was,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
so
drove by, I
again,
saw it looked like some new framing going in,
uh,
what was happening.
they don't show existing and proposed on that.
yeah, seems to be.
Does the title of the drawing, I'll tell you what's one or the other?
It's in a commercial district.
Yeah, it's right on the highway there, so
Okay.
it's definitely commercial. But you know, they're all doing these things where they're mixing things up, you know, like the one over here, right? It's gonna be
Sign, but I don't.
mixed use.
There
Right,
is-
the upper floors are gonna be residential, I guess,
Oh,
Right.
and the lower floor?
businesses of some sort.
Oh,
This is new.
You haven't noticed that
There is a
floor now.
There's something behind it, I just can't quite see it in here.
Oh.
The driveway comes up.
Yeah. Come around the
What-
white
Sports, there's these
Yeah,
dotted
Place up
lines
front,
here.
which one? Not the one that went into Randy's, the other one, French stand.
Motorsports.
We changed it.
Oh, it does say this is area of pavement,
Yeah, that
fourth
was-
edition out back. So,
Oh,
and they're showing the wetlands and it doesn't, anything on this drawing is outside of that.
I can't believe how big this project is.
The-
I was here today,
Here,
and
yeah.
when I left, I went up.
Oh,
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I've
the
been
whole-
around the
oh,
other
this-
side.
yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Every time I go by this, it's like, holy
Yeah.
crap, this is like
Something new coming in.
Yeah,
time
Then
lapse
then you
photography.
wonder why our kids can't afford. it. That's what it's building.
oh, boy, yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't show any new construction on this plan. but-
Well, did they use the word later or substitute?
Well, or existing, you know, it doesn't say anything like that. I mean, I don't get it.
But
It's pretty hard structure. Doesn't say proposed, doesn't show.
Didn't you say
Is this
something?
on the town web, is this on the town website?
For the planning board?
Yeah.
I presume so. I mean, I think it must have come in, you know, yesterday.
But it's funny, she sent the agenda this morning.
Yeah.
If this was available. is it-
I know.
The applicant wishes to maintain the existing 2-bedroom apartment,
Yeah,
which was done by others without benefit. And to add a new separate automotive service garage and office space to the permitted auto sales use. Alright, so to add is a future tense,
Does sound like
Yeah.
a but construction, a new building, but it presumably on the same
right.
general.
but the waiver request is for
I think it's the mixed use, right? Because it's zoned commercial.
Change of
And that
use.
kind of business,
we're requesting a
Potential
waiver
for
for
promotion.
an updated delineation. of the
Yeah, but
wetlands.
it already is. Though. It's-
it already is.
Right, this is an ongoing, I mean,
No physical change to the property, existing improvements. predating the ordinance.
Oh,
It's
okay.
pretty defunct.
The space is.
Like, what did your cars do?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a great venture.
Work on public vehicles, yeah.
Oh, I thought
Not
that was.
just
what you
those
do.
for the auto sales facility.
No,
Oh, I see. So they could open it, you could bring your car
Right.
there to be worked on.
So that's the change of
You
use.
said no
Yeah,
physical change.
No physical change.
All right. Okay, so are we good with it then?
Well, it's kind of, there's not much to tell.
No,
But if
but-
they're not doing it, they're not.
Yeah, if they're not
building
changing the
anything,
footprint.
Yeah. But all they're doing is they're gonna hang a shingle out and say, we'll fix your car beyond our cars. Which is, given the complexity of vehicles nowadays, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
Pretty shaky.
yeah, well, so-
It's a pretty shaky looking place. We've always gone by and said, yeah, they must be dealing drugs.
yeah. Hey, it's not our business.
Well,
That's the change, that's the change of use. We're going drug.
Not everybody can build a new one, like the one going up in Rochester, you know, it's key now, but it used to be Poland. That place across the road is gonna be theirs, I found out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Bigger showroom.
All right, well, I think we've gone through all the planning board stuff. So we're into old business, and I don't know how much updates there are. The wetland buffer project, were you, I guess. There's a meeting.
There hasn't been another one yet. It's gonna be this coming Tuesday, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. 17.
So what's happening there is we're gonna have a meeting of the group that has been working on this, early in the day. I don't remember exactly when. And then we're gonna go to the planning board meeting that evening and give them what we come up with. And decide as a group how they want to approach it, whether they're gonna go for it, whether they want further time to consider to run test cases through it and see how it would work out. But either way, I think that we're gonna end up being involved. I'll probably end up showing other people how to use the tools, and it's not.
are there any members of the planning board on your committee?
Yeah, John Driscoll and
Yeah, no, it was always vision, it's kind of 50-50.
and
Okay.
Jamie, the code enforcement is
It looks like it's gonna fall on us maybe to,
to actually
look at the-
run the
all right,
evaluation.
you wanna encroach on like from 50 feet to 32 feet. Well, let's look at a handle, let's look at some things
Yeah.
and see if it, all right, that you're not gonna be killing off a whole species of salamanders or whatever.
Well, I always think of protection against flooding, given global warming.
Well, I mean, that is always.
Rainstorms.
Yeah. Looking at that, what this is going to add is that there are some tools that are gonna be, some GIS tools that can be used to make a recommendation.
Right,
on
before
what
we
the
set it
setback
based
should
on,
be. Well,
it doesn't sound bad or it doesn't look like
I
it's
don't
gonna
know
be
that
bad.
it's gonna change that much. I mean, this is still advisor. It is
Yeah.
strictly advisory. And it's pretty good reason to want to keep it. But it is, we'll now have it being advisory with something quantitative behind it instead of just,
I like that.
yeah.
I like that very.
You know, and realize
Okay, well, I guess we'll know more after this
Yeah,
next
yeah.
meeting, so leave it at that. and see what inspires. And Richardson Pond, I don't think, Ken was gonna look into something about it, but we got that far, so I'll wait. Monitoring, probably all seen the list that Gary came up with,
And his move to Saturday.
right?
so he's trying to bring in some of the good people out of Turtle Camp.
Yeah,
We did one last week.
Caleb? Yeah.
We did Caleb East. And we also tagged a abandoned trail, maybe we're back in service. It self-walked it and like they saw her out on Goodwill the day
Oh,
before.
yeah, actually, we got a card, from Leighton Forest. That seems it's kind of standard stuff. But just saying, you know, off property, easement. During my visit, I did not observe anything new that would cause concern. If you have any questions, let me follow. My number, had a lovely time walking, chatting, Jack and Charlie, Vestergaard's, Katie, Pates. So,
But the picture is on, like,
yeah,
Okay.
because that's what
they're using as postcards,
pass
getting
around.
official notices.
Okay,
Look at the picture or whatever.
Yeah, she's trying to latch on with Selt.
Mhm. So that's, and the others, I guess, as far as we know, there's nothing coming up with the planning board as yet. But, maybe.
The town forest wasn't, people were supposed to talk to the landowners, right, to see.
Well, so Brian tried to, and he's not getting any calls back, but we had proposed at the last meeting is that we should walk the property. We should probably do that with the lands committee, and I don't think they've been meeting.
No, I was gonna email AJ, because I was wondering if I was missing anything back.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
have it.
He's been gone for like the Labor Day, week, but I know they're back
maybe in the
now.
fall.
They'll pick it up again. We could walk it on our own, but I mean, I think they could probably give us some good advice on how to make a proposal, or to put together a proposal for those lots. So I will talk to AJ when I see him on the road. I've seen his wife, but I haven't seen AJ.
But like Dick Meyer, they're using the same reasoning that we are, which is, yeah, you wouldn't get an appraisal for the lot. We're not putting houses on it. We're leaving it in current use.
Right, no, they're
So it's-
offering less and
Yeah.
that's clearly what we want to do
Yeah.
as well. I mean, what Goodstein is asking. He's thinking this could be a landmine for him because the town's involved.
I mean, a gold mine. Mine. So this away.
Yeah, okay,
So
so
nothing.
we'll see what, what transpires there. So that's all the business. I had one announcement, but now I can't remember. I was looking at all these workshops that Celt's doing, and folks get their notices, but there's one coming up this Monday. And I didn't get it in a direct email, but I saw it on a list of things coming up, but, because they have one on trails creation. But this was something else that was,
It wasn't the invasives.
no, and that was last week, yeah. I can't remember what it was. Are you able to go onto their website?
Yeah.
and See if they listed,
Yeah,
I just
so-
figured because it's,
I know they got their Trail Fest coming up. That's
yeah, there's
October
that,
14th,
right.
and that's free.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me though, I was wondering whether, and maybe this is a Trails Committee item, but I noticed the Epping Conservation Commission is gonna have a table there.
Well, that's why I want to see and see what are they doing. I mean, they are physically in Epic, so maybe,
Yeah.
but is it a way for maybe us to cross pollinate?
But given that we have so many trails, and a lot of self trails,
Yeah.
it seems like it might be a good thing. I mean, if folks are up.
Well, I'm gonna see what they're doing. I mean, I don't know if they're selling Epping hats or what, I don't know.
Yeah,
But, we do have representation. We've got a good relationship with Dwayne and got John on the board.
right.
And
Oh, is
we've
this
gone
what
to
you were
that, some of that trail training we've done.
Is that on
Yeah,
February 18th? Yeah, that's right. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, 19th Tuesday.
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody has a particular interest in that. I can't make it myself, but I thought it might be good to have somebody from the Conservation Commission.
It's Monday.
Yeah, Monday at 5. I presume they'll be meeting at the Marison Trail off of Route 9. Does that work for anybody?
Well, there's a possibility, and I'm gonna have to be up with my parents either on Sunday or Monday. So Tess has a burst appendix for the second time.
Wait a minute.
second time.
Wait a minute, so, okay, that's not.
It's gonna be almost.
Look
dark
it up.
though.
It's called the.
Yeah.
Dump
Yeah.
Appendicitis.
Well, I guess they wanted to do when people are
Wow.
available. It's not
No one
dark yet.
has
It's
ever seen
it's getting
No
there.
it. Dealt with it.
Did he have two
Well,
appendices?
no, it's apparently what happened is when they removed it the first time, it was a mess and it ruptured and encapsulated. And they apparently left some traces of it. Missed it because it was all peppered and meat in there.
Mhm.
And that is now regenerated and gotten infected again. So you go through the same thing. But it's very rare. It's really rare. No one, surgeon said she's never seen it. It's the kind of thing they've read about it in their textbooks. Some
Yeah.
papers, but they.
Can they still do it with 3 little holes?
They will probably be doing it laparoscopically. But first they gotta get the infection down. It's-
So you're not available,
Well,
or you're gonna, I'm watching that.
there's another thing going on in my town. It's not,
Yeah,
I'm rarely available.
You see, this is,
right,
this is at the gate off of 202.
probably. I mean, doesn't, I, yeah, so.
Can you get read more, just so?
Or,
Right at the bottom.
Yeah, I looked at it. It didn't seem to
Registration's required.
specify.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go find the sub page. Hopefully, it might not be full.
Yeah,
I'll try it out with 10, but it's gonna be close to the dark at 7.
well, it's wrapping up. I mean, it's not a big deal. Obviously, it's their
Yeah.
property, but it might be interesting to.
Well, I'm interested because we've got to restore a section of Newhall, post forestry. And then when we finish everything on the lower part of Goodwill,
Yeah,
we gotta go in there
yeah,
because we
it
have.
did seem
plans to
like it
cut.
was somewhat relevant. Yeah. Okay, well, whatever, if you do happen to get to it, give us a report.
They still,
Yeah. Where?
You
in
can't.
Goodwill.
They're not in there now. They held off.
I mean, I'm sorry, Newhall, I'm sorry.
Newhall,
I was
they
thinking
pulled out
two
their heavy equipment according to Charlie.
Yeah,
Okay.
but Goodwill, our understanding is they're still planning to do.
Right, they're waiting for frozen ground.
Which will ever happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, not the way things are going, but we'll see.
Doug, I have one other, I noticed emails from a month or so ago about the Schultz Leger
Oh, yeah,
sale,
Right.
and I noticed there's
today.
it's under agreement though.
Oh,
yeah.
And someone on the Barrington Concom,
yeah, I
Gmail
responded to,
okay.
can you see that?
yeah, and I'm just wondering if we should just reach out to the Realtor at least maybe?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I should let you know, I mean, I think I mentioned it maybe the last meeting,
Okay,
that John Wallace had basically offered to approach the Realtor, but obviously at our discretion and I said, sure, go ahead, and thought it was a good idea, and he said he did, and they said, yes, they are aware of the easement. And, you know, I guess it's still up to the landowner, you know, as far as the access issue, you know, the easement will be the easement, obviously, but you know, whether people can hike the whole Barrington Trail will be somewhat, I mean, there's, you know, obviously the agreement with the previous landowner, but hopefully that'll continue.
It seemed pretty cool about letting us go down to the bridge, but without the bridge there,
Yeah,
at least it's still there, it's just not
Yeah.
functional.
Yeah, and that's the thing I don't know. I mean, I would think if you have a bridge and it falls into the water, is that considered a filling, you know, authorized?
Oh,
I mean, it's certainly, you know, I could see it being an issue if it dammed up the river.
the weird thing
Flooding.
is, there's 3 crossings of the Isinglass River in this town. And within a year's time, they've all been messing with.
Yeah.
The 202 one got redone,
Right.
Green Hill Road's being done, and the Red Bridge collapsed.
yeah.
Yeah.
you would think the landowner would be responsible for that?
Oh, I think they are, but I mean, it's their
Yeah.
bridge,
yeah.
right? It's their property and it's not a public
And so
trail.
the trail is not written into the deed?
Well, the Barrington Trail is,
It is.
well, I don't, you were looking
I
at it too.
didn't, and when we walked. it
There's
with- yeah.
there's some kind of statement about, you know, making it accessible, but,
Yeah, but the Barrington Trail isn't, it's more like Brewster Road Extension, that goes out to the bridge.
yeah,
So that.
it doesn't include the bridge, right?
No,
And that land is not open to the public, exactly. It's-
I know last spring, I think we hiked and we went and requested permission to go out there. Cause also the land across the bridge was hers. There's a little loop trail
Right.
that goes up against Brooks Road.
Right.
Anyone know why that property keeps coming up for sale?
Well, I think it was a deal before. I didn't notice the sign that said under agreement today. I'll have to
I
wait.
just checked the website because I saw that email.
Oh, that could be old then, cause
Which could be old.
that under agreement, because it had under agreement before.
And then it was taken off.
I don't know if it blew off or something changed, but we know what happened.
Just Google,
Today it's
Brewster
two
Road.
for sale.
Yeah, that's right.
Two different
And-
agents.
Yeah. It's kind of
Like the.
What's it?
Yeah,
Google Maps.
I mean,
No, no,
I've
no,
met
just
the
put in your
folks
general
who live
Google
there.
search, just,
They were
Brewster Road,
trying to
Barrington.
create some restaurant, cafe type of project and, you know, things didn't work out or whatever.
Just click on it.
But I don't know.
You talk about
It
the
says
Schultz
active
house?
under contract.
In the Schultz
Oh,
house?
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
So it's active under.
So,
contract.
you know. It's just-
You know,
Almost like change.
Liz Evans is the chair of ERLAC, and she's kind of concerned about the bridge being in the river.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
It looks
could be
terrible.
Yeah, and I'm sure there is a lot.
Well, because we're concerned about
against it.
Yeah.
in-stream flow and
Right.
Yeah.
things like that.
In case anyone didn't know this, Jim Schultz died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I knew he was on his way out.
I thought he might make it, his mom lived to be 100,
I'm hoping, my grandfather made 103, but
really,
I'm hoping that bodes well for me, but
yeah,
didn't for
yeah.
his child, my mother didn't, so I
Yeah,
don't know how that works.
yeah, I think John Wallace was in touch with his daughter. Who's contact, I guess. On all the issues there. So anyway, you know, if I hear anything further from John, I'll let you know, but that's kind of where things stand as far as I know.
Do we know if that Brewster Road extension, is that a public road?
John said he thought, he looked up and it was a class 6.
Yeah, the road, you know, it goes down to basically their house.
Right.
And that splits, and then it splits off, and that's the class 6 road that goes up to CV Bridge. I guess it is CV Bridge Road. So that is a public right of way, I guess. And that's where, you know, part of the
Yeah.
Barrington Trail
You can
goes.
see the CD road, but it goes up to that family farm, and while you, with a Range Rover, you could probably get down to Scruton. Because we have hiked back from the Scruton Pond site, and instead of taking the trail along the river, we just hike up the road because it's faster. But it's, you know, you gotta have a Range Rover to get in, there's stuff.
It's
there's
pretty
rocks.
rough, yeah. It's all,
You know, I got a 4-wheel drive, but I wouldn't take it out there.
no.
But I mean, in terms of foot traffic, it's
yeah.
still a
Oh, it's
Public
huge,
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
But when you get to the end there, they make you shut off a little
Yeah.
bit by the cemetery because they don't want you coming out on that road.
Right, right.
Well, that
Yeah,
was
I
just,
assume that'll continue.
I mean, I think it's still a class 6 road, we just
It
do it
is, yeah.
because they asked us
Yeah.
Yeah.
to go
Technically,
around.
you
But-
could.
Privacy.
But the top end
Yeah,
works, you know,
technically,
the family gets down to the farm.
Same thing
The
with
southern end is.
Kids of the River is also, I think that's also
Oh,
public right of way,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, where they make you go
Right.
around and, so we seem to have a lot of those, but and then of course the one at Caleb, right? Where you gotta go around their property.
Right.
But you know, it's to kind of just get along with these folks.
Right.
and Not have
Be neighborly.
complaining. So anyway, that's where things stand. Any other items, Trails Committee? news?
We did a bunch of work on the south end of the Barrington Trail today, getting ready for our bear event. The library's put it out. We've already got a handful of people signed up.
Okay, so that'll be at the
21st at
Ball
the
fields.
at the ball fields. And
trailhead.
we got a portion of the bear suit, and we got stuff we're gonna demonstrate. It's a raffle for a bear you can sleep with.
What's the date on that?
21st.
October?
But there'll be a lot of promotion. The
Yeah.
library's already got their stuff out, and the bear I made, they've already got on display.
Okay,
We're gonna have some fun with it.
kind of gave a little report on the Isinglass. There was concern about
yeah,
the bridge dam. Yeah, I mean, it says in their deed that they have the right to do, you know, to maintain it or remove it, but it didn't say repair it.
Cool, like the dam on Richardson. It's like, okay.
So he's-
There could be a deal where they're free to do it, but the one thing they're not allowed to do is let it fall in the river. I don't know.
You'd think so. I mean, I'm just thinking somewhere the state would
Yeah.
have a problem.
It's not like the river is navigable for kayaks. There's so many places you'd have to get out, all the
Yeah.
logs, rocks. So I don't think we're we're hosing anybody in that respect.
Yeah, but
We
I'm
do have-
thinking basic, wetlands rules. You're not supposed to dump things in the river.
No,
Yeah.
I think it would be a little unfair to call it a dump.
Yeah, but it's their property and it's in the
Yeah.
river, so I don't know.
The question is, if you open the can of worms, are we gonna either, screw over the new owner or nix the deal?
Yeah,
Right.
Or find out that somehow we're required to cover it.
No, I don't see how we.
There's a few people have said, why aren't you guys fixing it? You know how much it would cost to fix that? And no, it's not our land.
Yeah.
Or
It's not our bridge. Or our trail, so, yeah. But I think the guy who was inquiring about it was the other part. I think they even know who, there's a guy on Brewster Road I met one day. So I was out there today, and it's actually on the turtle.
And Schultz.
And Schultz
Mhm.
Turtle Brook Preserve. He was out, and actually I found a tree stand. I think because he told me he was doing hunting out, bow hunting out there, and so I'm thinking that's probably his tree stand. It's cell property, it's not ours, so I guess that's cell's problem.
Yeah, they can't. It's weird, because I carry around one of those notices to put on
Right.
illegal tree stands.
Yeah, but I guess.
Which I probably should put a notice up on Facebook for to remind the hunters.
But if it's Salt's land or their
I don't know what the
easement,
rules
seems like it's their problem,
Yeah.
their responsibility. Anyway, I'm just curious because you always wonder when you run into somebody in the woods.
I need a copy of that because I've got a tree stand in Village Place.
No,
Well, I got a lamp, I don't know if it was Charlie or John gave me one, but they laminated up a little thing with, hey, here's the rules and where to go to fill it. And they actually taped tie wrap to it and put a hole in it and laminated it.
yeah,
So you can,
right.
when you put it on the tree stand, you know it will be there after a few rainstorms.
Yeah,
And
But-
hunting season is coming up, so it's
Well,
probably.
it's here, it isn't what you're going for.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, Friday, I think deer and turkey bow comes online. We were on clearing today, and I noticed that I was the only one wearing orange. And they're like, well, no one would hunt on this land. And it's like, we come close to other land that people do hunt. And no one's looking for boundaries when they load up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of wildlife, one other item, I noticed we've had this issue with the turtle crossing signs.
what do you?
In addition to the ones that are missing, I guess, on Young Road, one of the ones on Scoot Pond Road, it got knocked down, and I think it was the, road crew, they were doing the cutting on the roadside.
It was a sandwich
And-
forest flower.
But and I don't know whether they knocked it down and decided they better remove the sign, or they decided to remove the sign, or it was already removed. Anyway, there's just a pole there with no sign. So we've got, 3, I guess, replaced now. Ken was gonna look into it, but obviously we'll have to follow up on that, but it's note that.
Well, I mean, you can go online and search for all kinds of different signs
Well,
for
the,
aluminum.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. The town says they won't fix your mailbox if they run it over. I don't know what they're gonna do about a turtle sign.
yeah, but it was somebody on the road folks, we didn't print that right. We didn't pay for them,
If they got a metal post there, that would have been town,
yeah.
because you can't go around plugging posts down to save any animal.
Yeah.
It's
And
not without
actually, as I was walking by there, this is my one wildlife sighting, I guess. I saw a car, I was on foot, and this car pulled up, by the marsh there. It's on Road, or on Scoot Pond
permission.
Road.
Coachman.
No, the one, where the turtle crossing
Okay.
line was. The one that's the big wetland, the Turtle Brook. And he stopped and he walked out into the road and he picked something up and then went over to the pond. So I presume he was moving a turtle off the road, which I know people do that all the time.
I've done it on that road.
And, a lot of times you find them squished, but, so anyway, it's certainly still relevant
Yeah,
and needed.
Let's keep turtles in
Remind
mind,
me.
not speed bumps.
But I was glad to see somebody was making an effort anyway to protect the turtles, so. Okay, I guess we're done with business and sightings, other sightings. Interesting.
we've seen
Birds.
more salamanders on the driveway this year. I don't
Really?
think we have any, well, it's been wet.
Yeah. You know what kind?
Yeah, it's the red, what are the young?
That's,
Yeah, red F.
yeah, they seem to be the most common.
Yeah, you see them all the time, but this year, it's
Well, follow the rain. Makes sense.
Seen a lot of pine cones out there, so that's probably gonna be a
Yeah.
bumper crop for. And which means we could have a lot more dead squirrels next
Yeah.
year, because every time we get a bumper crop or something,
Red
the,
dead squirrels.
the squirrels go to town, and next thing you know.
Right, right.
What I'm not seeing is birds. After having a whole lot of birds, I have occasional woodpecker. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, well, they do say they're declining all over.
Hmm.
I'm surprised. Let's see what the Audubon says on.
Yeah.
Annual bird count.
Right, yeah. We haven't noticed that tanagers are around. We have not been seeing the orioles come through. We used to in the spring, late spring.
Yeah, I'm seeing less of it. We keep trying to encourage them,
Yeah,
aren't these.
Cardinals came back, a couple of pairs.
yeah, we have a lot of.
Yeah, they seem to. Get better, don't mind people, so.
But it's been
Okay.
just this week. I mean, even the goldfinches are
Yeah.
showing up.
Yeah.
And they.
Even probably a sign that, of one is near, dead loved ones nearby or something.
I'm sure that's.
It's not a ghosty thing, it's like, then there is like parents looking at you. Ooh,
Well, maybe they all know the weather report.